Clarence Williams III kept a secret so dark that even his closest friends never knew. It started when he was 6 months old and his mother vanished without a trace. Then came the childhood spent living above a funeral home, walking past bodies every single day. But that wasn't the worst part. In 1995, after one terrifying movie role, FBI agents showed up on his set with death threats. Someone wanted him dead, and the reason why reveals the disturbing truth about what really made Hollywood fear him. Clarence Williams III was born on August 21, 1939 in Harlem. That day was hot, and the city was heavy with August air. His mother was barely mentioned in family stories. No name in the census, no photo in the albums, just silence. One relative told the New York Times in 2021 that nobody saw her after Clarence turned 6 months old. She vanished so completely that by 1943 the family stopped paying for the Western Union tracer. His father, Clarence Clay Williams Jr., played the clarinet, but by the time his son was born, the big band gigs were drying up, swing was fading, small groups were cheaper, and Clay was constantly on the move from Newark to Buffalo, chasing work that barely paid his way home. He was gone most of the year, so the baby was left with Clay's parents. Clarence later said his mother felt like a photograph that blew away in a windstorm. That's how he kept reporters from asking too much when he became famous. But buried beneath all that loss was something unexpected. His grandparents were jazz royalty. Clarence Williams, his grandfather, wrote, "'Tain't nobody's business if I do, and baby, won't you please come home?" His grandmother, Ava Taylor, sang blues in vaudeville halls and packed theaters in London. In the 1930s, his grandfather's music brought in about $40,000 a year, which today would be over $800,000. They lived in a 13-room brownstone in Queens. Legends like Bessie Smith and Sidney Basher stopped by. Even a teenage Fatser once crashed on their Dean for a month, but they never flaunted the wealth. Royalty checks came in plain envelopes. Neighbors never knew. Thanks to that quiet money, Clarence could study acting at the American Negro Theater in Harlem, while the world thought he was just another kid from a rough neighborhood. One family story always stood out. Clarence had a great aunt named Helen. She was a church organist who played Sunday services at the Rikers Island prison chapel. Each week she brought him books and peppermints hidden in her organ bench. But inside those benches, prisoners had secretly packed Vicks inhalers and codeine cough syrup. She didn't know. The men pretended to be sick. The scam lasted until 1954, when a warden finally checked the cargo. Helen was stunned. She never got charged, but she did go back to apologize. Clarence went with her. He was 14. He said that trip was the first time he understood what it meant to be innocent and guilty all at once. That idea stuck with him and later showed up in almost every role he played. Living upstairs from the funeral home meant Clarence got used to things most kids never saw. Taking out the trash meant walking past corpses stitched and silent under white sheets. Harlem was violent back then. 3 homicide victims a week came through that mortuary. He saw stab wounds before he learned to ride the subway. In 1950, after a fire, he watched as 8 tiny coffins were laid out in a line. He never forgot that. He said the image burned its own film noir into his head. He never flinched around blood again. Not in school, not on stage. Casting directors in the 1960s said his stare looked radioactive. They called it method acting. But when he spoke to co-star Peggy Lipton, he told her it came from memorizing the faces of men whose own mothers wouldn't claim them. That weight followed him into his breakthrough stage role in Slow Dance on The Killing Ground and onto TV as Link Hayes, the first black cop on prime time, who didn't smile to be accepted. Clarence didn't plan to be an actor. At 18, he was just looking for $20. It was July 1957, hot and loud in Harlem, and he stopped by the YMCA to borrow money from his sister. She worked the phones upstairs. He wandered into the basement theater, and there was a cast rehearsing under a single stage light. The director snapped at him to read a script. He did. He nailed it. That night he was on stage. Cicely Tyson and James Earl Jones were in the crowd. That one moment ended his hustling and started a 6-decade career. He used to joke that he still owed the theater $20 in interest. Before that moment he'd been running numbers. Between the ages of 15 and 17, he was a runner for Harlem's underground lottery. He'd scribble bets, collect dimes, and memorize the entire route from 143rd to Lenox. If the police showed up, he'd chew the slips and swallow the ink. It was dangerous. 2 friends were shot over unpaid debts in the summer of 1956. But that street life taught him how people talk, how they move. It gave him a rhythm that critics later praised when he walked on stage. His theater dreams were put on hold in 1958 when the Army came calling. He joined the 101st Airborne and trained as a paratrooper. Company C 56th Infantry, the Screaming Eagles, the same unit that jumped into Normandy in World War II. Clarence did 32 jumps, 3 of them at night with full gear. He earned his wings and a Pathfinder badge. He said the Army taught him how to breathe, how to wait, and how to strike, whether it was pulling a parachute cord or delivering a line. He was discharged in February 1960 and hitchhiked straight back to New York. By 1964, he was 25 and standing in a Broadway spotlight. He was nominated for a Tony Award for slow dance on the Killing Ground. He played a drifter named Randall, dark and unpredictable. Critics said his monologue at the end was so intense you could hear the neon humming in the silence. He didn't win the award, but he became the youngest black actor ever nominated in that category. Hollywood noticed, but when big offers came, he said no. NBC offered him a show for $2,500 per episode. Paramount wanted him for a $500,000 movie deal. ABC dangled a sitcom role. He turned all of it down. He chose the stage instead. Plays paid just $125 a week, but he didn't care. He said he'd rather play kings for peanuts than sidekicks for gold. Then came the Mod Squad, when Aaron Spelling went searching for the perfect actor to play Link Hayes in 1968. He met over 350 people. The network wanted someone clean-cut. But the moment Clarence Williams III walked in, everything changed. He had army boots, a wool cap pulled low over his growing afro, and eyes that looked like they had seen everything. He didn't smile. He didn't play it safe. Bill Cosby had just seen him perform in slow dance on the Killing Ground and called Spelling quietly. He told him, "If you want lightning on film, that's your guy." Spelling listened. And when the final audition came on March 11, 1968, Williams walked into Paramount and didn't just read the lines, he went dead silent. Spelling said the room's temperature rose by 10 degrees. ABC panicked. They thought Southern viewers wouldn't accept a black man in that role, but Spelling threatened to cancel the whole show if Williams wasn't cast.